Alongside Frankie, Corrado, and Bryan Hayes. Gentlemen, starting on Monday, we're going to begin revealing TSN's annual top 50 list of NHL players. And guys, for the first time in the 15-year history of this list on TSN, Alex Ovechkin does not make the cut for the top 50 players. Hayes, let's start with you. Is this an overreaction to a single down season, or is this the end of an era and only a fair assessment of where Ovi's game is today, Bryan?
It's a fair assessment, and I've been waiting for everyone else at TSN to catch up to me, Gino. I didn't have him in my top 50 last year, and I think I was proven right when you actually saw him play out the whole season. He's 39 years old. He had 31 goals last year. He had 65 points. He's a winger. He's not going to kill penalties. He's not going to be up for the Selke. So what is he now? He's a guy with a solo focus. It's chasing Gretzky. It's chasing the history books. He's still a very good player. He's not outside of the top 75 or the top 100, but top 50, that's not where he's been, I think, for a couple of years. He's slowed down. He had a bad start last year. I think he better learn from that this year if he wants to have a better season. But again, a 39-year-old winger who's just going to pot a couple of goals and doesn't have a ton of talent around him, I think this is 100% appropriate. Alex Ovechkin is no longer a top 50 player in the NHL.
It is a very fair assessment, and it doesn't take away anything from what Alex Ovechkin has done over the course of his career, but he's not the same player that he used to be. And when you take a look at our list, and when it comes out, we're going to see a lot of young players that have moved up the list and players that mean a lot to their team. Number one centers, number one wingers, number one defensemen, number one goaltenders. Like, there are going to be players that are a point per game, who play all situations, who just mean more to their team and have more of an impact on the game than what Alex Ovechkin does right now. So this is a very fair assessment on where he's at right now, and it probably ends up taking him another 2 years before he beats Wayne Gretzky's goal-scoring record.
Does Ovi still have enough pride and work ethic left in his game to say, okay, I had a lousy year, I understand that, I got to get my game back? Hazer, from what you've seen over his career, do you not think he's determined enough to get his game back this year?
I don't think it's that easy, Gino. Again, he's 39 years old. I don't think they have Stanley Cup aspirations either in Washington. He's very focused, obviously, on scoring goals. And that doesn't mean he's not going to be a good teammate, a good leader, doesn't want to win. But I think it's just a very different era. It happens to every player, every great player. You get into your late 30s, I mean, Father Time, he's undefeated for a reason. Last year, he got it back together in the second half. But as Frankie was saying about a lot of the players that are on this top 50 list, you're talking about young studs who play up the middle of the ice, number one defenseman, number one goalie. If you want to be a winger on this list, you have to play all over the ice and be truly explosive. And that's what he was for 15, 17 years in the NHL. He's one of the great players of all time. But when he came into the league and when he was in his prime, everything revolved around Ovechkin in Washington, and I don't think that's the case anymore. He'll start the year with Dylan Strome up the middle of the ice, and he needs Dylan Strome. He needs Tom Wilson. He needs John Carlson. He needs his teammates to prop it up for him. And you know what's kind of crazy, guys? He might need Pierre-Luc Dubois to snap out of it and actually perform. That might be the way he actually gets back to maybe 40-plus goals, is he rides with PLD, and PLD decides, okay, I got something here riding with Ovi.
It's just a different era for Alex Ovechkin. I actually give him a lot of credit, Gino and Bryan, as far as how he was able to put it together last season, because of the way he started. I think a lot of people thought maybe the goal-scoring record was going to be in jeopardy. He ends up getting 30-plus goals last season, and that might be it. That just might be what Alex Ovechkin is now. Just a goal scorer. He's not steamrolling guys on the forecheck the way he used to. Like, he's lost a little bit of that element to his game because of his age, but he was able to find a goal-scoring touch last year after a slow start. I expect that to continue this year, but that and that alone does not make you a top 50 player unless you're going to put 40, 50, 50, 60 goals on the board. Like, that's just not the case for where Alex Ovechkin is at in his career.
All right, so we know Ovi didn't make the top 50. Coming up on Monday, we'll reveal numbers 41 to 50.